Hey, everybody. It is Friday, November 14th, 2025. You're listening to the Mo News Podcast. I'm Moshe Wanunu.
And I am Jill Wagner. This is the place where we bring you just the facts.
And we read all the news and read between the lines, so you don't have to. Jill, I am just back as we record this from Syracuse, New York. Spent just over a day there. Alex and I were there. She actually graduated from Syracuse, the Newhouse School, back in the day. This was her first trip back in 15 years. And they're doing something really innovative there. Working with the journalism school, working with the business school. They've created a center for the creator economy. As we all know, that's the way things are going, whether you're a creator in this new space like us or a whole number of fields, lifestyle, science, and some really innovative stuff happening up there. They had a lot of alums. I am alum adjacent because I'm married to Alex. But it was a great trip up there. And just want to thank Cheryl Brody Franklin and the dean of the Newhouse School up there, Mark Lodato, who, like us, is a recovering traditional media journalist, traditional broadcast journalist.
And for everybody who is not watching this on YouTube, Moshe has currently traded his Mo News hat for a Syracuse hat, which I think is the highest form of compliment for you, Moshe.
Wearing the merch. Jill, I'm wearing the Syracuse merch. But, you know, I am a GW alum, so much love to my alma mater. But again, pretty cool things happening up there at Syracuse.
And in other exciting news, at least for all of our New Yorkers and those in the surrounding areas, we are hosting a Mo News Premium Happy Hour next week. It is Tuesday, November 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll have some drinks, some light bites, and of course, Moshe, some great conversation with both of us and your fellow mofos. That is apparently what we are calling Mo News followers, in case you have not heard that before.
Well, they came up with a name, Jill, over on the Slack channel. We've been trying to come up with, like, who are the Mo News hardcores, and someone suggested mofos, as in, again, Mo followers. And that got a lot of upvotes on the premium Slack channel, so we're
going with mofos.
We're going with mofos. So we should note this is a free event, but you do need to be a Mo News Premium member to join and get details on the event.
It is at an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location in New York City, but you will get the details if you join Mo News Premium, mo.news/premium. Then you'll get the RSVP link in the welcome email. If you're already a member, the details are over on the premium Instagram account on how to get further details. But we do hope to see you there. If you're looking for yet another reason to join Mo News Premium, well, happy hour with us and your fellow mofos. What's better?
So hope to see everybody then. And for now, let's get to some headlines. The government turns back on. How long it will take until everyone gets paid and air travel is running smoothly.
Jill, having flown on Thursday night, it's still going to be a little bit.
Moshe, I am flying today, so I'm hoping things are going to be smooth.
Pack your patience, Jill.
I don't have any.
That's why you have to look for it and pack it.
The status of American healthcare, which was at the heart of the shutdown. Spoiler alert, it's not good. It is expensive. Two big international stories we're watching. What we know about a plan for potential military action in Venezuela. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio's big ask as the U.S. is trying to stop the genocide in Sudan. To the economy, 1 in 4 U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck. A look at what is being called the K-shape economy. And are Cheetos really Cheetos if they are not bright orange?
And leave orange on your fingers and on your clothes. Do they taste the same? We'll tell you about what they're calling naked Cheetos.
Sticking with retail, a look at how much Americans are planning to spend this holiday season.
And I'll give you a preview of our recent behind-the-scenes look at a new Target store in Texas that we traveled to earlier this week and what they're telling us about the science behind how they get Jill and her family to fill that cart even when they only come for 3 things.
And there is something off about this song, even though it's at the top of the charts. We'll tell you what it is.
And who the artist is. ...
And it is Friday. Cheers to the freaking weekend. What we are watching, reading, and eating.
And cooking with all the premium members later today. Another reason to join Premium, Jill.
Starting with the government reopening/rebooting on Thursday. As mentioned yesterday, this isn't like flipping a switch. It is a gradual process. National parks, though, are back open. Federal workers who haven't received a paycheck in weeks are waiting for back pay. Full SNAP benefits could take up to 10 days to be issued, but the head of the Department of Agriculture says that some SNAP recipients should start seeing checks as soon as today. Federal employees are back to work. Many will start receiving back pay tomorrow. Others may not receive back pay until Wednesday. That's according to a White House memo. Senate staffers will start getting paychecks again today. They're set to receive 3 paychecks in the span of 1 week. As for some of the essential workers, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced Thursday that some TSA employees who, quote, stepped up every single day and served with exemplary service throughout the shutdown, that they'll get $10,000 bonus checks. She was at an event in Houston where she handed out some of those checks to about 20 agents. She said the bonuses are in addition to back pay. Now, in terms of air travel, flight cancellations and delays are improving. About 1,000 flights were still canceled on Thursday. The FAA says that it will not increase the required cancellations as was originally planned. So they're going to pause at the current level of 6% cancellations at the 40 busiest airports. Officials warn that travelers should still expect delays and cancellations heading into the weekend. Although Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says things are a lot better, a lot more controllers are coming in. And officials say by Thanksgiving, everything should be a go, of course, until there's a big storm and then all bets are off.
Right. We still have to deal with the normal reasons for cancellation, which is like weather and, other issues.
Now, as for the ripple effects of the shutdown, about 60,000 people apparently lost their job in the private sector since October 1st. The American economy took an estimated $11 billion hit. So it was a lot of pain, and in the end, no deal on health care, which was the whole reason that Democrats had held out on voting for the spending bill, which is making some question, was it worth it?
Right. That's the huge fight that's happening within the Democratic Party, because remember, you had those 8 senators, 7 Democrats, 1 independent who caucuses with Democrats, cross party lines, cut the deal with Republicans, because remember what we told you at the beginning of this week, that air travel was about to be a complete disaster. Food stamp benefits were not going out, a whole variety of things. And they just felt the pressure and said, you know what, we'll take the deal with Senate Republicans where they're not guaranteeing an extension of the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare healthcare insurance subsidies, but they are promising to vote on it in December. No guaranteed deal or outcome, but they'll take the vote. They do hope that they can sort of Red Rover, come over a few Republicans on a deal. Now, the issue they have is that any Obamacare extension deal would have to go through the House, and that's where the House Republicans made no promise at all. So you have the vast majority of Democrats on Capitol Hill who are like, what the what? Like, what did we do this all for? It has had many of you asking about healthcare. What's going on with it? Why do we have this problem? Why are temporary healthcare subsidies, at least they were meant to be temporary, during COVID, why are we talking about extending them after more than 5 years? And it speaks to Obamacare, what it has solved and what it hasn't solved, and what things remain broken or even worse than they were 15 years ago. This subsidy fight really has to do with about the 22 million or so Americans who receive Obamacare benefits, many of them dealing with inflation, the cost of living, and the premium spikes and the price of healthcare insurance, requiring those healthcare subsidies in order to stay on Obamacare, again, meant to be temporary to help folks out during the pandemic. But Democrats saying, and now you got some Republicans saying, maybe we need to continue this because ACA premiums remain high. Just alone next year, they're expected to rise by an average of 18%. So it's crucial for millions of Americans to help afford this plan, and some Americans who might not be able to afford insurance altogether if they don't get these subsidies. As for Obamacare, passed about 15 years ago, one of its goals was to get the cost of healthcare down and get more people on health insurance. Before the law was passed, about 14 to 16% of Americans, 1 in 6 or so Americans, were uninsured. As of last year, 8% of Americans are uninsured. So it has meant millions of new Americans are on health insurance. Now, that's driven mostly by a Medicaid expansion as well as new insurance marketplaces. But that expanded coverage, the goal was 15 years ago, that it would bring down the cost of premiums. It has not. And critics say that the fact that people need these subsidies to be able to afford it shows it is really not working, that Obamacare is broken. Now, remember, over time, Republicans have cut portions of Obamacare, and Democrats will point to that, saying, well, you sort of purposefully ruined Obamacare, Republicans. Nonetheless, Republicans said over time, well, those were things that weren't effective anyway. And if you talk to people in medicine, if you talk to doctors, if you talk to hospitals, there is a lot of frustration with the system that exists today. Drug companies, pharmacy benefit managers, hospitals, there's been a whole bunch of factors that have driven healthcare costs up. And there is acknowledgement, I think, from the left and the right that there does need to be a renewed glimpse at Obamacare, potential reforms here. There's a lot of required benefits as part of Obamacare that has made coverage more expensive for everyone because ultimately the price goes up because everyone is pitching in to deal with the costs here. Now, some Republicans are now proposing sending health subsidies directly to Americans instead of sending the money to insurance companies. That was a discussion that came up during the shutdown. You saw President Trump even discuss it. That's been discussed here between those moderate Democrats who cross party lines for this deal and some Republicans. So you do see, sort of a mature conversation happening in the Senate about this, about, sort of reconfiguring how these subsidies get sent out. Should they be sent directly to people? Now, the argument against that is, will those people actually spend it on health insurance or will they spend it on something else? The White House, for its part, has been negotiating directly with drug companies related to drug prices, but there is a broken insurance system here. Americans spend more on health insurance and have some of the worst health outcomes as compared to other developed economies and developed democracies across Europe and the world. And remember, President Trump has said, he would like a replacement to Obamacare. He's been talking about that since 2015. He still has not proposed an alternative. Republicans haven't proposed an alternative, but you do see a real discussion here. And you could say that some Democrats will chalk it up to a success here when it comes to the shutdown, is that they've at least put the cost of healthcare back onto sort of the front burner, so to speak, of Congress. Now, the question is, can they come to some sort of solution at a time where we don't really compromise and we're going into midterm elections? Not clear. But given some of the polling we've seen recently, Republicans not doing so well, Trump not doing so well. He's really underwater right now when it comes to cost of living, when it comes to healthcare. Does that give Democrats a little bit more oomph, a little more leverage going into this? That's something we will follow here. If you're looking for more details on all of this, we dove into it on the Mo News Substack. If you're not subscribed to the Mo News Substack, our daily afternoon newsletter, it's the perfect complement to this podcast.
What are you even doing?
What are you even doing? How have you not done that? Again, we have the Instagram feed all day long. You got this podcast in the morning and you got the Substack every afternoon. And it's free, unlike your healthcare.
Okay, now to a couple of international headlines that we're tracking, starting with the latest on the U.S. military buildup near Venezuela. President Trump was briefed on updated options for potential military operations, including a strike on land. That's according to some new reports out this week. Trump was briefed Wednesday following the arrival of the USS Gerald Ford, which is the world's largest aircraft carrier. It arrived in the U.S. Southern Command area of operations north of the Caribbean Sea. The carrier is accompanied by about 60 aircraft, including F-18 fighter jets, which dramatically increases the military's firepower in the area and boosts the number of troops in Latin America to 15,000. Officials are cautioning that just because there was a briefing on some new attack plans does not mean that an attack is imminent.
Though that's what they would say exactly if an attack was imminent, Jill. So we'll continue to monitor all of this. This is a major buildup, right? What are they going to say? Yeah, no, totally.
Guys, it's happening.
It's happening tomorrow. Though, President Trump has been known to set a deadline, right? He certainly has been trying to nudge, push, pressure Nicolas Maduro, the dictator of Venezuela, to get out of power, people around him to push him out of power. And generally speaking, Jill, you don't bring in the largest and newest aircraft carrier in the world if you plan to just blow up some speedboats illegally carrying drugs, which is what has been happening here. We did learn in the last 24 hours that the U.S. has blown up its 20th drug boat in just about 2 months, killing 4 people on board. And I should say alleged drug boat. They haven't revealed any evidence. And that's been something that's been frustrating both Democrats and some Republicans on Capitol Hill who are looking for more details on the operation, as the Trump administration has effectively been applying the policies we have been applying in the Middle East and South Asia to terror groups, now to alleged drug boats carrying alleged drugs in the Caribbean Sea and the Eastern Pacific. Remember, there are two goals here. One is stopping drug running from Venezuela. Now, Venezuela is a source of drugs, not the largest source of drugs. That's Colombia on their border in the hemisphere. But nonetheless, Venezuela has been a problem for a long time. It's also the source of a lot of migrants. The government has effectively collapsed. Inflation is, if you think inflation is bad in America, Venezuelan, we're talking about 1,000% inflation in Venezuela, money pretty worthless. It's led to nearly a quarter of the population leaving in the last 10 years. And the hope the U.S. has, beyond the drug running, beyond stabilizing things there, is getting rid of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. There is a $50 million bounty on his head. Trump has been weighing options for weeks. It could range from no action. It could include hitting seaports in Venezuela. It could hit airports. It could hit military facilities. Another option, considered less likely, according to experts, is sending in a special operations team to either arrest or kill Maduro and his senior advisors. But any strike here on Venezuela is considered risky. Could things escalate? Could they create a power vacuum? Now, there is, an alternate leadership, right? There was a legitimate election last year. Maduro lost. The opposition won. They're sort of in waiting right now to take things over. But as we know, as we have a long history of regime change, mostly not working out, there are concerns. Now, it could totally work out and could be relatively seamless, like the 1989 taking out of the leader of Panama. But that's something that I think Trump is weighing here. He's weighing the political ramifications. He's weighing the timing of this. And, clearly privy to information we are not, which is Maduro potentially, going to look for a deal here to get out of power if he legitimately thinks that he might be arrested or killed, but something we'll closely watch.
And now to another major story that we are watching out of Africa. Secretary of State Marco Rubio yesterday calling on foreign governments to stop supporting a paramilitary force accused of murder, rape, and genocide in the country of Sudan. This is a 2.5-year civil war in the country. It appears to be escalating. So far, at least 40,000 people have been killed and 12 million others displaced. Rubio said yesterday that any countries who are helping the group known as the RSF, or the Rapid Support Forces, needs to stop immediately. The U.S. is leading the Quad initiative, bringing together the UAE, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia in an effort to resolve the conflict. And that is interesting because the United Arab Emirates has actually been linked to propping up the RSF with weapons and mercenaries sent via African nations, although the UAE has repeatedly denied these allegations.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence there. What's interesting with this Quad, Jill, so it's us, the UAE, which allegedly supports the RSF, and then Egypt and Saudi, which support the Sudanese army. So you have a lot of foreign actors here involved in this civil war between the president's forces and the vice president's forces. To back up here to 2023, effectively the president of the country and the VP had a falling out and then went into civil war with each other. The VP having the RSF, the president having the Sudanese army. The RSF being backed up by the UAE, the Sudanese army being backed up, as I mentioned, by Egypt, Saudi Arabia, but throw in there Qatar, Turkey, and Iran behind the Sudanese army. So there are a lot of foreign actors here, and there's been atrocities on both sides. The Sudanese army launching airstrikes in civilian marketplaces, using chemical weapons. Then you have the RSF, which is what Rubio was talking about there, and associated Arab forces that have committed major atrocities and massacres against Black natives, including in the Darfur area, which some of you might be familiar with, given, unfortunately, the wars that have taken place there over the last 20 years. Videos have emerged here of the RSF forces massacring civilians, burning down villages, just horrific, horrific stuff. And Rubio acknowledges that there are foreign actors on both sides here. They've been trying to push for a ceasefire. There was a moment where the RSF agreed to it, but the Sudanese army did not agree to it. Jill, Sudan, which has already been split into two countries over the last 20 years, Sudan and South Sudan, could see yet another split here. Sudan could split into effectively the RSF force area. They've taken Darfur into sort of a West Sudan and East Sudan. It's something we're monitoring here, but the priority for Rubio and the American government is stopping the fighting, which has created the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. 12 million people displaced, millions of children going without food, and they're trying to end that war ASAP.
Time for the speed read, starting with the economy from CNN. An estimated 24% of U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck so far in 2025. This is according to a Bank of America Institute analysis out this week. The researchers combed through internal data on its tens of millions of consumers, and they tracked how much income customers are spending on necessities. So things like housing, gasoline, groceries, childcare, and utilities. And they found that 24% of households spend over 95% of their income on those necessities, leaving little to nothing left over for the nice to have things like going out to dinner or taking a vacation, let alone saving some money.
So in this report, CNN spoke to one American who says he's applied to roughly 1,000 jobs over the past year, Jill. That is an aggressive job search. This guy saying he's applied to everything from teaching to construction. He's 34 years old. And it's been a really rough go. And I know a number of you out there that have lost your jobs. You've been communicating with us at Mo News, telling us your story via DM. And we always recommend that you reach out to us because it gives us a good gauge for what's going on. So it is a rough go for many Americans. And it's leading to Bank of America to refer to this economy as a K-shaped economy. So effectively, the K, the right side of the K, you have affluent Americans who are faring very well. And then you have those on the bottom side of the K there who are not doing so well. Now, there is one silver lining to this report. They say that the rate of increase in households living paycheck to paycheck has slowed this year. So more people, more households are living the paycheck to paycheck, but the rate of increase, the number of people who are having to fall back on that is going at a slower rate. So it's sort of like inflation, Jill, where prices go up, but they're just going up at a slower pace. That's no amazing news to those who are dealing with the situation. But we just wanted to share all the details from the report.
From the Daily Mail, barristers in the UK have won the right to go without their famous and historically significant wigs in court after campaigners branded them culturally insensitive. There are about 17,000 barristers in the UK. They are specialist lawyers who argue cases in court. Revised guidance from the Bar Council now allows lawyers to ditch their wigs for criminal cases if it is uncomfortable or impractical. And it comes after Black barristers complained that the Georgian-style hairpieces, which have been a legal tradition since 1685, were designed for white people's hair. There is a senior barrister, Leslie Thomas Casey. He has called for the wigs to be scrapped. He said they look ridiculous on Black advocates and that they are fashioned for Caucasian hair. He says they are culturally insensitive. The Bar Council, which represents barristers in England and Wales, set up a group to consider court dress requirements. And according to revised guidance, in some ethnicities, there are associated hairstyle traditions that would make wearing a wig uncomfortable or impractical.
So you may have seen this in films, in TV, or if you live in the UK, in person, these like proper white wigs. Jill, here in the US, you probably have to look back to like the founding fathers for a time when, again, as tradition, because we were a colony of England, we carried on with that. But of course, in the US, we killed the whole idea of wigs in court a while ago. Some interesting history here. White wigs, the idea of wearing these white wigs, were adopted back in the 17th century, back in the 1600s, to hide baldness, which was a symptom of syphilis at the time. So this all got started because people were trying to hide that they had STDs, which had reached epidemic levels several hundred years ago. And the trend spread through upper and middle class European countries. And so the UK followed the French in this. Back in the late 1600s, the shoulder length wigs became part of proper court dress. It was considered proper for these barristers to be wearing them. And through the 1700s and the 1800s and the 20th century and now the 21st century, they've continued to be a tradition here. The way that things work in the UK in particular, especially when it comes to the most serious and high-level cases, those are the ones that the barristers are handling here. So now I guess they have a choice. You're probably going to still see some who like to preserve the tradition and some who are like, thank God I don't have to wear these things on my head for hours at a time in a court.
Syphilis, Moshe, the same.
It all comes back to syphilis, Jill.
The disease that took out my family on the Oregon Trail back in, fourth grade?
Jill.
That's for the OG.
That's for the OGs on the podcast.
Listeners.
Jill forgot what actual diseases we had on the Oregon Trail and threw out syphilis, which would have been very inappropriate for us in fourth grade. Playing that game.
I think I meant dysentery.
Typhoid.
I received many comments, which I appreciated. Everyone's like, what was going on in your wagon on the Oregon Trail?
What were you learning in elementary school?
Okay, from Bloomberg, a new line of Cheetos and Doritos won't leave anyone's fingers orange. PepsiCo is introducing naked versions of its popular snacks that strip out artificial dyes as part of its push to boost healthier options. The offerings are being marketed as simply NKD. They don't have any added colors. So the NKD Flamin' Hot Cheetos are pale yellow, and they'll leave a white dust on fingers, not like the deep orangey red of traditional spicy Cheetos. Similarly, a NKD Nacho Cheese Dorito looks like a traditional corn chip, and there is no orangey smudge. The snacks apparently designed to taste exactly the same as the original. PepsiCo developed the chips in about 8 weeks, and the company has been moving swiftly to broadly overhaul its portfolio and offer more options for health-conscious consumers. And that includes products with more protein and also clean labels with shorter ingredient lists.
It's going to be very interesting to see how these play, Jill, because there is a visual aspect to tasting things. It's one of the reasons that food dyes have become so popular is that things tend to taste better if they are bright and have certain colors. So the psychological element here will be super interesting to watch, but it comes, as we've been telling you about RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again initiative, the fight against artificial colors, the fight for natural colors. And so PepsiCo already had a Simply line that included Doritos and Cheetos without artificial dyes, but there are just slightly different flavors from the original versions. The NKD line tries to replicate the same flavor of the traditional snacks, but without any added coloring here. So fans of the original Doritos and Cheetos, which are still being made, we should note, they are in for quite a change starting December 1st as these new ones are introduced. One top official from the company said, quote, if you close your eyes, you have the same crunch, the same flavor. So that's maybe what you need to do. It's sort of like, a tough comparison here, but like when you take cough syrup, you like hold your nose, and if you can't smell, it doesn't taste as bad, right? Because that's the way senses work. So anyway, super interesting to watch here. We're watching what's happening in the cereal world as well, with all the artificial colors being removed. And whether it's going to feel the same, taste the same to all of you, something we're going to watch. We'll have to do a test here on the Moon News Pod.
I think we should do a taste test, and I also think it's going to be fascinating to see the sales of this and if people still want to buy Doritos that are not bright orange.
Faded.
All right, this next headline brought to you as part of our new partnership with Target. Americans are expected to spend more than $1 trillion this holiday season. That is up more than 4% from last year, according to the National Retail Federation. And while many consumers are concerned about the state of the economy, they still plan to spend, especially on gifts. The Retail Federation saying that stores are also hiring about 365,000 seasonal workers to meet the demand. Ahead of the holidays, Moshe and the Mo News team visited Target's new Denton, Texas store. It opens in April, and they wanted to see how the retailer is catering to consumer tastes this season, adjusting their prices and responding to customer feedback. And it turns out everything in Target is by design and in the design.
Yeah, there's a lot here, Jill. And that was one of our main questions going into all of this. What's the science behind Target? What is it about those stores, and we all know it, where you walk in with a plan to buy 3 things and you walk out with 23 things? And
I have no idea what you're talking about, Moshe.
That's
never happened to me.
Never happened to you. Jill has talked about how her family has a game plan when they go into Target, being like, stay focused, right? Is that the motto?
Moshe, as you know, I have a young daughter, and that is the game plan. My husband takes her to Target, and that's the plan. They say, stay focused, because there really is too much there.
And so we tried that in that new store in Denton, Texas, just north of Dallas, one of the company's newest stores. And there's a lot to it here. One of the things they revealed to me, the more than 1,000 LED lights, especially in their newest stores, they continue to expand and have wider aisles. They're all about the layout and proximity of things that are similar. That's why they say they're incorporating customer feedback into their newest stores. Cart placement. There's a lot here. One of the people we spoke to was LaShawn Henderson. She's the store director there in the store in Denton, Texas. And she said a part of, her goal also is inspiration and joy, trying to bring inspiration and joy to people, especially this holiday season. Jill, one thing that was revealed to me too, shelf height and putting certain items on certain shelves. Olivia was with us for this partnership shoot that we did earlier this week in Texas. And literally, as we're having this interview with LaShawn, Olivia is walking up with various things that she found on various shelves. And you can catch a bit of that over on the Instagram feed.
In other words, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Like the cart was filling up thanks to my 2-year-old. But beyond the science of the layout of Target, one of our focuses was also Americans concerned about cost. Target says it is focused on keeping prices down, especially on consumer staples right now. They also have that dollar spot section that tries to hook us in there with those $1 to $5 trinkets near the entrance of the store. And they say that is part of their broader philosophy, that shopping should feel good. And they are trying to, again, focus on prices, especially on the things that folks will be purchasing this holiday season. So we'll have much more from our Target partnership over on Instagram, in the newsletter, and in the coming weeks. But we want to thank Target again for inviting us in to their Denton store and for this new partnership here with Mo News.
Okay, now to an entertainment story. We're going to play one of the hottest new country songs topping the charts from the artist Breaking Rust. And you can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking. So now, why is this news? It is because this is actually an AI-generated singer named Breaking Rust. That is actually the name they gave.
Hard
this
name. That's a hardcore name right there. Breaking Rust.
they didn't want to just call him like John.
Yeah, John Smith.
The song "Walk My Walk" is on top of Billboard's list of country music digital song sales as of Thursday. It has more than 3 million plays on Spotify. A different Breaking Rust song called "Livin' on Borrowed Time" now has over 4 million plays. So Breaking Rust emerged in October when the AI-generated singer started posting short music videos to TikTok and then later to Instagram. The videos show a tall, stoic man with a mustache and a cowboy hat, often walking in slow motion or holding onto a bottle of whiskey as country music and lyrics play over the footage. The TikTok account of this singer has over 100,000 followers as of Thursday. And it includes links to listen to their music on streaming platforms, but they don't mention that this is an AI-generated singer, which is what's a little shady, I guess.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Instagram account for Breaking Rust right now with 42,000 followers as of this moment. We're recording this, and there is no indication in the bio that this individual, and I'm reluctant to call them individual, is an AI generation, is fake. Right?
He's quite good looking, actually.
If one can be designed in a computer, you can make one quite good looking. Jill, we should note that this has been a concern across the music industry, including from the country music industry. Earlier this year, Martina McBride, a human country singer, testified before Congress asking for AI regulations. We've heard from people like Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan, Lainey Wilson, Darius Rucker, and others who have been concerned about what AI means to the industry. There is a streaming platform called Deezer that released a new survey on Wednesday that showed that 97% of listeners could not distinguish between a human-composed song and an AI-generated song. Now, streaming platforms like Spotify have promised to establish more guardrails to ensure that AI-generated music does not take revenue or streams away from human artists, but just the numbers you show there from Breaking Rust are pretty incredible there. And so there are, huge challenges for the industry here for regulations. We told you earlier this year about Tilly Norwood. She's an AI-generated actress, which was later revealed to be satire. Coca-Cola recently created a holiday commercial using AI, and they received backlash for that. So sort of the state of play here, where we are in 2025, Jill, top of the music charts, a musician who doesn't exist, and a song created by said musician, or the people behind the creator of this musician, developing this stuff. It's pretty incredible. I mean, if you play on ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these platforms and you ask them to churn out scripts, churn out songs, it can do it pretty quickly. what does that all mean? These are the questions we're dealing with in the months and years ahead.
If one day in the future Breaking Rust gets a Grammy or something, who goes to get it? It's so complicated.
The people who developed Breaking Rust. My bigger concern, and where I thought you were going, Jill, if Breaking Rust or the people behind Breaking Rust decide to launch a daily news podcast, conversational between two people, are we in trouble?
Yes, we are.
The answer is yes.
That would be a big yes. But Moshe, let's not worry about that today because it is Friday. Cheers to the freaking weekend. Time for what we are watching, reading, and eating. Moshe, what are you watching?
So there is a new documentary about Eddie Murphy out on Netflix called Being Eddie. So looking forward to that. Have been a fan of his going way back to his Saturday Night Live days. Jill, there was a period of Saturday Night Live in the 1980s that basically was like Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy, and like the rest of it sucked. Julie Louis-Dreyfus showed up for a season there, as did Billy Crystal. But the 80s were sort of a difficult period there for SNL. But I digress. So hopefully he talks about that, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, among other things. And then season 2 of Palm Royal is out on Apple TV. This is the dramedy, the drama comedy out with Kristen Wiig, Laura Dern, Carol Burnett, and Allison Janney. What are you watching?
Moshe, I'm going to be watching The Beast in Me out on Netflix. It is Claire Danes' new thriller. It happens to be getting awesome reviews. And Gabe Rotter, who is the writer and executive producer, is a daily Mo News podcast listener, Moshe. He listens every day in the car with his kids en route to school. So hi, Gabe.
Hey, Gabe. Great to connect. I'm going to have to add this to my list now, too.
So he has been friends with my husband for many years. He says this is a cat and mouse thriller about a writer who finds an unlikely subject for a new book when the house next door is bought by an infamous suspected murderer. As someone who just moved, this is like a nightmare situation.
Are you sure you want to watch
it? But I am looking forward to it. Okay, Moshe, what are you reading?
The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post by Alison Pataki. This actually is a suggestion, Jill, from the reading list over on our Mo News Premium Slack channel. We've told you about this before. If you're a premium member, you get to communicate, engage with your fellow premium members, thousands of premium members over on Slack. And there is a reading channel that's constantly blowing up. And one of you, I think it was Tiffany Fight, one of our followers there, put out a thread saying, like, what historical fiction are people liking these days? And I've always been a big fan of the Marjorie Post story. It speaks to my obsession with like the cereal wars of the early 20th century.
You're obsessed with the cereal wars. I'm
obsessed with this. Marjorie Post built Mar-a-Lago. Anyway, it's a fascinating story. And so curious about the book. What are you reading, Jill?
Okay, Moshe, this is a suggestion from our producer, Sari, an article from the New York Times, What Women Really Want. To not answer work emails at 10 p.m. So it is a guest essay over in the Times and a fascinating look about having some boundaries at work. I don't know if we have boundaries here at Mo News.
By the way, the fact that Sari suggested that, I just realized as we tape this, just before 10 p.m., I just sent a Slack to Sari. Sorry, Sari.
And by the way, she suggested that to me because I sent a Slack at 9 p.m. saying, does anybody have anything good for what we are reading this week? Yeah, so Mo News perhaps
I think that's what women want. I think that's what men want. I think that's all of us. All of us want to not answer work emails at 10 p.m.
What I do tell anybody who wants to get into the news, do not expect boundaries. It's a 24-hour gig.
Unless you're writing like a weekly Substack.
True. Okay, Moshe, what are you eating?
Jill, I'm eating what I'm cooking. Today, there is a premium cooking class. You know, oftentimes we do workshops for premium members. Today, we're doing a Friendsgiving cooking class virtually. We'll all be cooking together at 1 p.m. Eastern today. With a virtual session for a number of us, we'll be making loaded crispy smashed potatoes with chive, cream, and crispy capers, thanks to our friends at Home Ec. Which does virtual cooking classes. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing all of you on that Zoom, that virtual Friendsgiving we're doing. And yet another reason, Jill, to join Mo News Premium by 1 p.m. Eastern today. If you want to cook with us, you can do that. Join right now over at mo.news/premium. Jill, what are you eating?
So I'll probably make a cameo at the cooking class because then I'm headed to Columbus, Ohio, for my very first Ohio State football game. My husband surprised me with tickets this week. And I asked him...
Are you going to wear blue and gold?
No, I just don't think I need that kind of abuse in my life. No. Things are,
You're gonna keep that
a little difficult enough.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not that big of a diehard Michigan fan, and it isn't the Michigan game.
Right. Okay.
My husband, he'll never take me anywhere again. So anyway, I asked him where we'll be eating, and he said Katzinger's Deli. It is apparently the go-to place. He said every sandwich that they make is on challah and a 10. So I look forward to that. All right, everyone, that is it for this Friday edition of the Mo News Podcast. If you like what you hear, share this with your friends. It will help us grow. Follow us, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Review us in the App Store. And if you value our news coverage, consider joining the Mo News Premium community.
Yes, I will see all of you for our virtual cooking class in just a little bit. And the rest of you back here on the podcast on Monday. Jill, have fun in Ohio.
Go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to the Mo News Podcast. Have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed.